The wonders of life got the prettiest side for everyone to enjoy. Standing up close by the Christmas tree, glimmering light, I am right where I wanna be. I will be home for a couple of days, wander around with you. You and me in the cold, thought it'd never be true. Wherever I go, I got you. Oh, I have stopped running, there is no way trying. You better loosen your belt. Drinking hot wine by the fire, don't care of anything else. It's Christmas.
Hello everyone, and welcome to 25 Days of Christmas, an Advent podcast where we watch one Christmas movie or special a day until Christmas. I'm Patricia, and I'm here with my sister Carlene.
Hello everyone.
So today we're going to be talking about the 2019 animated film Klaus, which is a Netflix exclusive. Wow, this is the third one in a row that we've talked about movies that are exclusive to Netflix. Hashtag not sponsored. So today's movie, unlike A Boy Called Christmas and Scrooge, A Christmas Carol, is actually one of the really good ones.
Yeah, I will speak into why maybe we were watching a lot of Netflix programming. You know, the industry gets a little bit more greedy during the holidays, and a lot of these Christmas movies that are available all year long become exclusive or come with a price tag during this time. So I think we've been kind of seeing how Netflix can spoil us and what they have available for Christmas movies.
Exactly. Tune in next week as we're going to be watching exclusive movies on Disney Plus.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We don't even know what we're going to be watching next. So, okay, so Klaus. Very interesting behind the scenes stories of this movie. It was written and directed by Sergio Pablos from Spain. And he was a former Disney animator who worked on movies such as Hunchback of Notre Dame, Tarzan, Hercules, and Treasure Planet. And he even wrote stories and did character animations and designs for movies such as Despicable Me and Rio and Smallfoot before starting his own animation company. And this is his very first animated film in his own studio. So what is the movie about, you might be wondering? Well, the movie is about a spoiled young man by the name of Jesper who is living the luxurious life until his father...
Luxurious.
Yeah, luxurious.
Well, first, before you kind of mention the story, this is also another take on how Santa Claus or Nicholas...
Well, his name is Klaus.
Right. Yeah. But we know Santa Claus, right?
Yes.
So it's a different telling on the origins of Christmas and how it's connected to Santa Claus and how it's connected to toys.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is another one, just very similar to A Boy Called Christmas, except this is an animated one, and it came out a few years before, and I think that it's, in my opinion, a much more better telling of the story, and it actually gives explanation to several conventions that we would see for Santa Claus.
So go back to what you were explaining about the spoiled, luxurious character.
Yeah, so the spoiled, luxurious character named Jesper is called in by his father, who works at this major post office, and he is told that he has to deliver 6,000 letters to a small little town called Smeerensburg. That's
as punishment, right?
Yes, as a punishment.
This is a second generation wealthy kid, and sometimes we know that wealthy children can be a bit spoiled.
Yeah.
And he got very comfortable, and as punishment, his father wanted to teach him what hard work looked like. So he sent him to a location that would make him really work to be able to produce the amount of postage that he needed to send out.
Yes, and apparently it's based off of a real location in Norway. That was an old whaling town that used to exist a long time ago, but not really much anymore. But yeah, so he is sent over by a boatsman by the name of Mogans, and he is told that Smeerensburg is not exactly a very jolly, luxurious, happy place. In fact, there are two feuding families who do not get along with each other. The whole town is just desecrated, falling apart. The people are just really unhappy, and he is forced to deliver these letters and get letters, but nobody's writing letters because they all hate each other. And even some of the children don't even know how to write because there's no school.
Yeah, so I think that it's like a town that's falling apart because the main focus is this rivalry and this feud between these two families. And so the bare minimum is available. So education is not a priority. Wellness is not a priority. Nothing is a priority but this feud. And so he comes into this space. And of course, you know, his traditional way of trying to get his task accomplished fails. So he starts to unravel a very creative way to increase the postage. And that's where we kind of introduce the different characters that we see. And through this creative process is when we start to see how, like, modern day Santa and Christmas is, you know, made and created.
Yeah, exactly. So he meets up with an old woodcutter by the name of Klaus. And he is very well known for his toy making. He also knows how to build birdhouses. But mostly the focus is on the toys, where he sees like this whole shelf full of toys. And Klaus sees a letter that a little boy had drew that Jesper had earlier, where he was trying to convince him that if he wants to get his letter back, to send him a penny. And then he's confronted by his father, who sends his dogs after him. So Klaus sees the letter of a poor little boy up in his house, locked up in his room, unhappy. And he tells Jesper to take him to where his house is so he can give him a toy. And then with that one little gesture, everybody wants to have a toy. And that is how he's able to get his letters. And that is how the town starts picking itself up a bit. So yeah, let's discuss about our personal thoughts on this movie. So Carlene, what did you think of it?
Honestly, it's one of my favorite Christmas movies, which is a little, I guess, crazy to think and say, but it is. It's a very recent movie, and even though it came out in 2019, I don't think we watched it in 2019.
No, we didn't, because
I think we watched it in 2021, maybe?
I think so, because, yeah, I mean, I've heard about this movie from people for a while, but I haven't had the chance to see it until we saw it last year.
Yeah, I think maybe last year, if not last year, the year before, but we were just kind of putting it on just to put it on. We saw it on Netflix. We put it on just to kind of like, oh, let's find a Christmas movie and watch it. And personally, I really love it. I think the story is interesting and beautiful and kind of humorous. And the characters are beautiful. This, like you're talking about, this director.
Yeah.
And creator. Mm-hmm. Like, wow, what a training he had, right? Like,
yeah,
he had an opportunity to train with the best and create such beautiful content.
Yeah, exactly. You know, he went from Disney to Blue Sky Studio to Illumination, and then
all the different movies you were saying that he had a hands-on working with. Beautiful, and what a training. And then to branch off and create his own, and then create this. And to me, honestly, it's a home run. It's a masterpiece. It's one of my favorites, telling of the story of Santa or in Christmas. And I don't know. I think there's so many elements that I love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also the fact that this is a new studio. This is not like a Disney or a Pixar or a DreamWorks. It's a brand new studio that just came into existence not too long ago. And also it's from Spain. Mm-hmm. So you have all these Spanish animators coming together and doing this 2D animation film in a time in which 3D has become the norm.
Mm-hmm. It's just, it's so crazy. Like, I think that everything, like, every production company has a little bit of a stamp, like a lens in which when you view the content, you can see, like, how they're related.
Yeah.
And this one felt a little bit outside of that. And so I see why you're saying that, but it had like a different feel and a different vibration, and I enjoyed that. I like the characters. To be quite honest, the biggest theme that I enjoyed about this movie is how one person, seemingly insignificant, can have such an impact on the lives around them. I think so many times we think like how small our lives are.
Yeah. And
like how maybe sometimes our influence doesn't really reach or expand very, very far.
Yeah.
And we see that challenged in this story, where one individual who had everything available to him and didn't know how to utilize those resources has it taken away and has to rebuild to get back to where he thinks he wants to be. And in the process of doing that, his small influence changed an entire town, changed an entire way of being. It changed him, and then supposedly, obviously created the change we know today as Christmas and toys and all of that. But I just really enjoyed kind of that development where this character walks into a town that's barely holding itself together, and at the end of it, he brings community and he brings change and, creates a space where anybody would love to be. And he did that. And then the story to the movie talks a lot about how I forgot how it's said, of course, but one positive thing or one thing that's done in a selfless manner, always brings that back.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Klaus said in the movie, that, one good deed does not go unnoticed.
Yeah, and I really liked that because, again, sometimes in the muddiness of life, you forget how maybe your influence, how big it can be.
Yeah.
And in this story, it reminds you that, maybe it wasn't originally, it was selfish originally, but the more he went along, the more he kept doing good for others. It kept expanding and growing and turned into something very beautiful, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it reminded me very much of It's a Wonderful Life, where George Bailey felt that his life was very insignificant, and we find out that without him, then so much bad things would have happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, it just felt really wholesome. Remember I'm telling you, a lot of these movies nowadays are finding every opportunity to just bring things in that don't feel like they fit. And sometimes things are a little bit too secular or a little bit too dark or a little bit too, this just felt light and airy, and it feels very wholesome.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did have one question, and I wonder if you know.
Okay.
And if not, maybe some of your listeners know. But it seems at the end of the movie, when Klaus disappears, he's leaving this world.
Yeah.
And dies. From then on, the Jasper, the other character, waits for him on Christmas. And it's does he come? The way it's left off is as if he's waiting for him to come. And is that now where the magic lives, where he comes and delivers gifts? I don't know.
I don't know. That's a good question. I guess it's left up to the viewer's interpretation.
Maybe some of your listeners can chime in with what they think that means.
Yeah, definitely. So let us know in the comments about what you thought that the ending represented.
Yeah, what were their takeaways on that? So what was your takeaway on this movie?
I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the story, the characters. I really enjoyed the animation. I think that it was able to pull together a really unique take on the origins of Santa Claus that was it made a lot of sense in terms of the story. Okay, we have this wood carver. That's how he's able to make the toys. Okay, we have a bunch of reindeer, and the reason why was because with one horse, all the toys that are being piled up, it was getting really heavy over time. Oh, that one scene in which that the kids saw that the sleigh was flying. No, it just turned out that the two feuding families were able to knock down the wheels when they were trying to throw rocks and logs on it, and then it just slid down on a slope, and then it was flying up in the air, and then the kids just so happened to see it. So all of that stuff combined together made a lot of sense.
Yeah, a realistic take on a very magical tale.
Yeah, and that's how a lot of these kind of start, with realistic tales that eventually over time get fantasized into something magical.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like the performances and all of the characters in this movie. Jason Schwartzman as Jesper is really, really well done. We also really love Fantastic Mr. Fox. Your favorite character is Ash, and that's the same guy who voices him. And also there's J.K. Simmons, who voices as Klaus, and you may know him for a lot of other things like Spider-Man and various other movies. But yeah, he does a really good job of it as well. There's just a lot of great casting in this movie.
Yeah, and there's an underlying humor, so it's not outright where you're laughing or but it just feels humorous and a little
Yeah, it's very witty.
It's very witty, but it's so subtle that it's enjoyable. You know, if it's funny without the like comedy, but it's you know.
I would say that it's not like in your face with the comedy.
Yeah, exactly. It's very subtle.
Mm-hmm. I would say, giving my final thoughts, this is a modern Christmas classic, and this is one that you definitely need to watch. The sad thing about this movie is that it was nominated for an Oscar for Best Animated Film, the very first one for Netflix, and it lost to Toy Story 4. And I know you have your issues with Toy Story 4.
It's just not, obviously from all the Toy Stories, it's just not one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I know that, like, well, let's not talk about Toy Story because then we're going to go down a rabbit hole. But it is sad to hear that it wasn't it didn't receive an award or the recognition that it deserved. But I, too, agree with you that this is really a Christmas classic.
Yeah.
And even though it's newer and it's animation, which maybe a lot of people might kind of counteract as whether they would want to add that to their Christmas watch list, I would say definitely add it. You would enjoy it.
I mean, people still watch Frosty and Rudolph, even though they're over 50 years old. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, this is one of those movies that I can see people tuning into decades from now.
I agree. So, what do you think? What's your...
Okay, so yeah, let's rank it. When would we want... Okay, so how would we see this movie? Every year, every few years, or once and never again?
For me, it's definitely an every year.
Me too. I would definitely see this every year.
It's one of my top 5, top 10 Christmas movies.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I would say top 10 as well.
Yeah, I would have to... I mean, I haven't really sat down and thought about it, but it would definitely be on the top.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's some list out there that has, like, the top 100 Christmas movies of all time.
I'm sure. Of course
I'm sure they do. And maybe we'll do very similar to what the BBC did with the 50 animated songs. Maybe we'll do that list someday. That is if we ever finish part 2, but we'll get there eventually. All right, so rating of Santas.
Ooh, tricky. I don't know if I would really actually give a 5 out of 5 to. I don't know if I should just like be less critical and say 5 out of 5 or like 4.8 out of 5 or, you know. Yeah. But it's very high. It's either like, it's definitely above. I don't really know if I would put it 5 out of 5. I'll say 4.8 out of 5. 4.9 out of 5.
Ooh, 4.9.
And I don't really know why I wouldn't give it the full 5. It just seems strange to give something a perfect score, but
I mean, why not at this point? I mean, if it's like one of the best Christmas movies out there, alongside with classics such as It's a Wonderful Life and A Christmas Carol, then why not put it 5 out of 5?
I think I'll stick with my 4 out of
4.8. Sure. You know what? I'll give it like 4.5 out of 5. Yeah, I'll probably say that just to kind of like make it a little bit more even. Yeah, you have to
save that 5 out of 5 for that really like that wow.
Yeah, like that essential Christmas classic. Mm-hmm.
So I definitely rank it very high. I am curious how many Santas would your listeners give to this movie? If they've watched it, maybe they can put in the comments below if you've watched this movie, where would you rank it out of 5 Santas?
And also let us know about if you would watch this movie every year, every few years, or once and never again. Also, you know what? Let's do it for all the movies that we've talked about this December. Go back to listening our discussions of A Christmas Story, Frosty, Rudolph, A Boy Called Christmas, and Scrooge, A Christmas Carol. Let us know, how would you rank them? How would you say that you would watch them?
How often?
Yeah, how often you would watch them. Yeah.
And what's your personal rating? We're curious to see if we are in line with what some of your listeners believe, or are we totally out of on the spectrum
please let us know. We're genuinely curious. All right, so that is it for our discussion of Klaus in 25 Days of Christmas. Tune in tomorrow as we're going to talk about another Christmas movie or special. So until then, we'll see you later.
Bye, guys.
Gaze upon the sky, Christmas on my mind, somewhere from a place up high above. There's a song of love traveling afar. warm up